in Savannah.
All right, Omaha, the Burbs, the Bloods. Her name is Savannah. I think she was 6, but now she's probably about 9 now. She's the youngest artist that we play on our network. We actually, man, my mama survived off our neighbors because she couldn't read or write. And our neighbors in our church, they gave love. And so that's what we got to get back to. That's what we got to default back to. I got a guest in my house. You know how these stars are. They got their own noun, verbs, adjectives, prepositions, no phrases, all yes, and predicates to introduce themselves. He's all over social media. You know, I see him all over social media. He's the spokesperson for the sheriff's department also. And so let's first introduce. Let him introduce himself, and then first, what is the responsibility of the sheriff? And so I kind of want to.
Sure.
I want to guys kind of get a description of what sheriff does, what Omaha police do, what highway patrol does, et cetera, so we get a concept of kind of jurisdictions, responsibility, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. First of all, thanks, William. I appreciate it, and thanks for that lead in. But you know, I may be the sheriff, but I'm just graduate from North High. You know.
Okay.
So yeah, you know, it's because, you know, the sheriff is the only law enforcement executive that is not elected by a politician.
Okay.
You know, it's not appointed by a mayor or a city council or a governor, and that's all fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the sheriff is the only law enforcement executive that is picked by the people
Okay.
in a county. And I think that's a unique relationship. So,
without doubt.
So when you look at what's a jurisdiction, well, if you look at the way I like to explain it to folks, if you look at the FBI is like the national police department for the nation.
Right.
Okay. And if you bring that down, Nebraska State Patrol is the policing agency for state government.
Okay.
So they have jurisdiction all around the state, throughout the state.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where it is in the state, they have jurisdiction. Then every individual county has a sheriff.
Okay.
That's elected by the people. And that sheriff has jurisdiction all across the county.
Okay.
Within the counties are cities and townships.
Right.
And those cities and townships can also have police departments.
Okay.
And they'll have jurisdiction in their city or township in their city limits. And so it's a series of overlapping jurisdictions.
Mm-hmm.
We all work together like partners. But in the case, for example, of the city of Omaha,
mm-hmm.
they have primary jurisdiction, meaning they respond to 911 calls within the city.
Right.
They do the criminal investigative follow-up, but we can assist. The sheriff's office can assist, just like the state patrol can assist.
Okay.
And we do.
Okay.
Quite frequently.
All right. So you've been at Dodge County Sheriff's. Can you go to Dodge County?
Well, not without being deputized state deputy sheriff. Now you can, you're a state law enforcement officer.
Right.
You know, a lot of times I do have to travel around the state,
Mm-hmm.
but in order to really make sure that you have the jurisdictional authority,
Mm-hmm.
once you leave your jurisdiction, you want to have that state deputy sheriff status by the governor's office.
Okay.
But
Cool.
or you can also have an interlocal agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Between sheriffs. So Sarpy County Sheriff has an agreement with the Omaha Police Department where their canine unit can have jurisdiction on I-80 through Sarpy County to assist with combating drug cartels on I-80.
Right.
So you can have those interlocal agreements that will spread your jurisdictional boundaries depending on the needs of the community.
Okay. Cool. I want to give you guys a baseline of what their responsibility. Courthouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So here's a few responsibilities. Number one, aside from having jurisdiction across the county, the primary jurisdiction to respond to 911 calls is any of the areas in the county that's unincorporated.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that is not technically a city yet,
mm-hmm.
the sheriff's office is the default agency that handles that. In Douglas County, that's about 100,000 people.
Okay.
So if that was a city, that'd be the third biggest city in Nebraska between Lincoln and Bellevue.
Okay.
So it's a lot of people that we have direct responsibility for not only keeping them safe on 911 response, but also doing the criminal investigations follow up out there. That's number one. Number
Hmm.
two, we've got a court system that is at the core of our civil society.
Hmm.
You have judges, you have the public defender, you have the county attorney, you have the city attorney. But ultimately, any of those lawful orders that come from a judge,
Hmm.
whether it's an eviction order, whether it's the results of a civil lawsuit, whether it's the results of a criminal case, the judges need a physical arm to actually enforce those orders. Otherwise,
Okay.
they're not worth the paper they're written on.
Okay.
The sheriff's office has that obligation to serve the court, but also to keep the court safe.
Hmm.
We're kind of like the U.S. Marshals of the county,
Okay.
that physical arm of the court. And so that's why you see sheriff's deputies down at the courthouse
Hmm.
protecting the judges, protecting the courthouse, protecting the city county building, because that's our statutory obligation when
Okay.
it comes to the courthouse, and it's our contractual obligation with the city and the county when it comes to the city county building.
Cool. Being a former probation officer, everyone really works hand in hand, especially in the security of defendants, citizens as well as you know those the law. Um, let's circle to the current the new law in regards to guns. I'm elementary on it. Can you tell about what's the name of the law and what kind, were you for it or were you against it? And how should citizens, I guess, behave with the new law?
Sure. What's called constitutional carry or permitless carry.
Permitless care.
Permitless carry or constitutional carry depends on what you call it. Goes by a couple different names. And that was a legislative bill that I believe it was 2 legislative sessions ago.
Hmm.
So within the last 2 years, it had been a bill that had been debated for many, many years. I took a neutral position
Hmm.
because I'm in a position where I respect people's Second Amendment rights.
Hmm.
I want law-abiding people to be able to keep and bear arms,
Hmm.
to keep them and their families safe. But at the same time, I also knew that there's a lot of people that make poor choices with guns,
Right.
and a lot of innocent people end up paying the price for that. And I'm also an advocate of training. Um, so I took a neutral position,
Hmm.
but I was very careful to talk about the things that I supported in terms of innocent people being able to carry firearms to protect themselves, but also sharing what I was concerned about in terms of what could be the unintended consequences
Hmm.
if it was not written in a way that really hit all the high points of reality in a city like Omaha.
What were your concerns? And do you still have those same concerns?
Well,
I don't want to base it off the current history, but
sure.
what were your concerns, and do you still have those concerns, or do you have different concerns?
As a law enforcement officer, luckily as an elected sheriff, it's not
Hmm.
my job to be the one that votes on these issues. It's
Right.
kind of my job to be that subject matter expert to kind of make sure that policymakers can vote with eyes wide open, write policy with eyes wide open. And I think we did a good job of trying to get that done.
Hmm.
I can tell you that the conversation that we had with the state senators, there were a lot of modifications that were added
Hmm.
that I think did improve the bill, but nothing's perfect. I
Right.
mean, we just if we're trying to attain perfection, we're going to be sorely disappointed constantly. So, the couple of things that I wish that I miss
Hmm.
when it comes to the old concealed carry permit law, which by the way I supported all the way back in the 90s. I was a supporter of that
Hmm.
as a young police officer, late 90s, early 2000s. The training component is important.
Hmm.
And now the training component is not mandatory. And again, that's a public policy decision. But I think even the most ardent Second Amendment supporter would say you got to get trained,
Hmm.
because when when something happens, okay, when your adrenaline's pumping, your life's on the line, or you're scared, you don't rise to the occasion. You sink to the level of your training. Because what adrenaline does to the body, it's a chemical reaction.
Right.
It'll make certain parts of your body function better and other parts of your body function less.
Right.
Unless you
Right.
train on how to deal with that, acclimate yourself to it, train your body how to respond, it's real easy to make a physical choice or a psychological choice that maybe you would not under normal conditions.
I wonder why wouldn't they? I mean, did someone fight against training? Did someone advocate against training in the bill?
No, I think the issue was that the folks that were pushing the effort were saying that the Second Amendment does not require training, and that's true. There's nowhere in the Constitution that it says that training is mandatory. And again, I stayed agnostic to it. I gave my opinion on what I think, how valuable I think training is. But we'll ultimately see how that turns out.
I mean, but that's natural. If you always had an apprentice, a master, and an apprentice. You always had someone, a father and a son, a daughter and a mother. It's always been a cycle of someone, teaching the next generation how to hunt. I mean, so it's always training. Training is natural. I just don't understand and not. I mean, I'm an athlete. If you don't train, I mean, how can you be prepared? And police officer, you have to be trained because, like you said, to do different things.
I think part of the argument, I'm just telling you what the argument was. That some people thought that training can be expensive. Sometimes you got people working 2 jobs, and it shouldn't be a barrier to being able to protect yourself if you can't afford or get the training. I understand some of that is reality, but then again, if you want to be a responsible firearm owner, I think you should get training, and you should stay fresh on the use of your firearm.
Without a doubt. That keeps everyone safe. Keeps everyone safe. We got children that can get access to guns, and we hear the children get access to their parents' gun and actually shoot themselves. They 2-3 year old, and they think it's regular toys.
See, you nailed it. And there's a few things here as you move up the scale about how can we really create a more positive culture when it comes to firearms. First and foremost, it starts at home. So, I grew up in a firearm household.
See, I didn't.
And that doesn't mean that there was guns laying all over my house.
Right.
I mean, I rarely saw a gun at my house. My dad had long guns for hunting. My dad had handguns for self-protection. But I rarely saw them just out around the house.
Right.
So there was no opportunity for me to be exposed to firearms like a toy.
Right. Okay.
But I was also ingrained with a lot of respect for firearms because we'd go to the firearms range, and I knew my dad would teach us, hey, you never point a gun at anything that you do not intend to shoot. You always treat a gun as if it's loaded, because it may be.
Right.
Those are the things that
training.
Start talking. Yeah, that is training. I mean, it may not be training at a gun range, but that is training at a young age. And I think that, there's a lot of people that will, that if you have guns, you may go to the gun range and you'll take a picture of you shooting or exposing someone shooting. That's normal. Okay. That's what a lot of people do. But you've also got other people that'll display guns in social media in kind of a disrespectful way. It does not appear to be respectful for the basic tenets of gun safety. And so I think, again, starts at home, starts with peer pressure from your family, from the elders in your family. If you see someone, first of all, talk to your young people about guns.
Right.
If you have a gun, show them the safe way to store them, handle them, and show them the safe way to shoot them if they're legal to possess or use them. But then also hold them accountable if you see them acting in with disregard for safety with those guns, because that all matters. When the time comes that the stress is on, all of those foundational things will matter.
Yeah. My grandson, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago, he had some handguns, and I thought the guns was real. And it really bothered me. And so I talked to him. I said, man, I'm taking these guns away because they look for real. Because they didn't even have the orange thing on the tip. And so I put them away because they look real. Um, and in the real world, you can't really distinguish what's real and what's fake.
Right.
And so it's best not to let your children even have them. I don't allow them on the video games possibly, but they don't go around in the house with guns and pretending to shoot each other. I don't allow that behavior.
Well, I think if you look at our culture in general, and this is all across our community, is that respect for firearms that we talked about earlier. You see these very realistic first person shooter games where people are training their brains to fire weapons at people, albeit on a video game in a virtual environment. But I think there are some studies that are showing that there is a consequence for that. Well, that's exactly how we train police officers. That's exactly how we train our military.
Right.
When we expose young people to that, and we don't anticipate that there will be negative consequences, at least in some cases, I think we're being naive.
Oh yeah, without doubt. You do get desensitized and normalized. Especially if they play those games constantly, daily. So they get desensitized. I talk about even the TV, they get desensitized because every TV show is a cliffhanger. When we were growing up, most of the TV shows, was a plot and they solve it. It was, you learn problem solving, and kind of like Scooby-Doo or Fat Albert. You had a problem, but at the end of it, you had they taught you how to problem solve.
There was a moral.
Right. And it wasn't a cliffhanger like it is today. Everything's a cliffhanger and everything's so deadly.
Well, think about this. Think about that little, everyone has seen a little 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old lately that the mom or the dad or the grandma gave them that smartphone, and it was a pacifier. And as soon as they took it away, that kid just went wild. We've all seen that.
Right.
Most of us have seen it within the last week. Okay. And so that's the power of how these digital devices, the games, the mobile devices. Now, when you overlap that with a violent first person shooter influence, you can really see how that can soak in deep.
Without doubt. It does desensitize, and one does come violent, more violent, even if it's reinforced by the music. So the ears and eyes are very important on what we let our children, induce. Tell us a bit more about the law.
Sure.
How can we stay safe?
Sure. So the law, the basic high points of the law are this: that now it is the law of Nebraska, across Nebraska, that if you are of legal age, 21 years and older, and if you are not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, not committing a small subset of misdemeanor crimes, and not considered a prohibited person on the state or federal level.
We'll
go into what those are. I'll explain what those are.
Okay, but let me ask you a quick question. I just joined the military. My dad's Air Force. I'm 18. I'm getting trained. So what about the airmen?
So you can carry 18 to 21 can carry a firearm, but they have to open carry it until they're 21 years old. They they have to open carry it like I am right now. They cannot carry it concealed. So, and this is where it's the difference. If you're 18 or over, you can legally carry a handgun or a long gun out in public. Certain places you can't. That's again where the training comes in, because you got to know the no-go zones and the go zones. It can be complicated. And as long as you, if you're over 21, if you're carrying concealed, when you come in contact with law enforcement, you have to tell them immediately upon contact that you are armed. So as long as you navigate those situations, the law of the land now is you can carry a concealed handgun in the state without a permit.
Now, will the officer have a right to search me or ask for a permit? No, he says it's permit.
You also have to have ID. I'm sorry. So you have to keep your ID on you.
Okay.
You have to have valid ID.
Okay.
And so, but let me give you the scenario. Let's say you get traffic stopped,
Okay.
or you come in contact with a law enforcement officer and you're being officially contacted by the police for
Mhm.
something. You tell them, hey, I'm William King.
Mhm.
I'm armed with a concealed handgun
Mhm.
legally. It is right here on my right side.
Okay.
The law enforcement officer will then tell you what will happen next.
Okay.
He or she may say, Mr. King, thank you for telling me that. Why don't you just keep it right there? And just do me a favor, keep your hands up, right up like this, or
Mhm.
whatever,
Mhm.
out of your pocket, or keep them right where I can see them.
Right.
The law enforcement officer may say, hey, thank you, Mr. King. I appreciate it. I'm going to temporarily take control of that firearm during the duration of the contact, and then I'll give it back to you upon conclusion.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
every situation is different. Now, I can tell you this, and I spent a lot of time in OPD.
Mhm.
I spent a lot of time in jobs that were pretty high risk.
Yeah,
Canine
yeah.
unit, fugitive unit, canine unit. And I've had a lot of times up in North Omaha where I would come in contact with armed citizens, and I would allow them to just maintain their firearm
Mhm.
on them,
Right.
because the situation dictated that it would have been more trouble for me to disarm them
Right.
at that time
Mhm.
than to allow them to stay armed and know that they are armed.
Mhm.
Okay. Because in that time, I'm talking someone had a concealed carry permit.
Mhm.
But also, based on that snap second judgment, it was good to know that if all of a sudden things got hairy for me, that I had someone with a concealed carry permit trained that might be able to step up and be my number two
Right.
if I needed it. Now, that we
Right.
don't want typically for that to happen,
Mhm.
but that is one of the benefits of an armed law-abiding citizenry,
Right.
is they can also
Oh,
assist law
sis.
enforcement as well.
Right. Okay. All right. Man. So the officer has a right, even though that it's concealed, no permit. They still have a right to take the weapon for safety of both. And it's based off of judgment.
I wouldn't say the right; they have the authority. It's
Okay.
not like they have a constitutional right to do that. They
Okay.
have the authority to
Okay.
do that per law,
Okay.
case by case.
Okay. So it's okay. Cool. So they kind of, but generally those with well, now it's different because no permit, so you can't tell who's whom.
You can still get a permit, and so actually, you can still get a concealed carry permit. There are benefits to still having a permit, because that means you will know other states that you have reciprocity to carry in.
Okay.
The permit allows you, in some cases, to avoid the NICS background check, federal NICS background check.
NCIC?
NICS, the
Okay.
National. I can't remember what it stands for, but NICS, NICS. It is administered by the FBI and the ATF. It lets you know if someone, it'll let a gun dealer know if you're able to buy a handgun or not, or a firearm. So there is benefits to having a CCW permit still. I don't know what the numbers are if people maintain them, but I think it's not a bad idea.
Now, can we go to Iowa with this law? Every state has different laws, correct?
Every state has different laws, but if typically there is a way that you can research it to see if a state that you're going to is either a constitutional carry state or a state that has reciprocity to Nebraska. So, for example, Florida just passed constitutional carry, but they didn't pass it with concealed. They passed it with open. So now it is legal. I'm sorry, take that back. They passed it with concealed, but not open carry.
Okay.
And so in Florida, you can carry constitutional carry, permitless carry, concealed, but their state public policy is they don't want people walking around with exposed firearms or AR-15 on the back or anything like that. That's their choice. But that is an example of there are different nuances to state laws across the country. And that's another reason why training is important. You got to educate yourself about what the law is wherever you're going.
Say I'm driving. Okay, another scenario. Someone bought me a gun for Christmas. So can I have that gun? Do I need to register that gun, or what do I need to do with that gun?
Yeah.
So say you bought me a gun for Christmas, and what do I supposed to do with it?
It's weird because I did buy you a gun for Christmas. I haven't given it to someone. No, I'm kidding. So with the permitless carry, that also ended any firearm registration that occurred across the state. Okay, so
what? So
the city of Omaha and Lincoln used to have handgun registration. So if you wanted to buy a handgun in Omaha, you would go down to the Omaha Police Department and you would register your handgun and get that registration, and then have your handgun.
Okay.
And by law, you had to have that. That is no longer a law. However, if you want to buy or acquire or have a handgun transferred to you by someone who is not in your immediate family, you have to come down to your local sheriff's office, pay $5, get a background check, and get a handgun purchase permit.
Okay.
And that lasts for 3 years. So to have that permit, so let's say the person that wanted to buy it for you for Christmas is not your mom, your dad, your uncle, your grandpa, your grandma, or your kid, or your wife. They can transfer it to you without that handgun purchase permit. But anybody else, if they sell it, if they rent it, if they give it, if they transfer it, if they loan it, you have to have a handgun purchase permit, and so do they.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's always been the law. That's been the law for 20, 30 years.
So if we have any questions as citizens, who should we call? Well, what number do we call?
Yeah. So, it's real easy. You can call the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. I'll give you the exact line. Actually, if you call the front desk, it might could get a little confusing. But on all of our social media platforms, you can send a direct message.
Okay.
So we've got a deputy who works full-time on community outreach, Deputy Dimaturco. You might have seen her. And she's really good at answering questions online, on social media. And if she doesn't know the answer, she can find it out. But I think between the Omaha Police Department and the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, if you have a question, it's real easy to reach out in these modern times via social media and get your questions answered.
Okay. So if a gun is given to you, you must get it registered. So there's at least like a paper trail per se.
You don't have to get it registered. No.
I mean, we said a
handgun purchase permit.
A handgun purchase permit.
But that is not tied to a gun. If you have the handgun purchase permit, that is just a permit that you have for 3 years. It's good for 3 years. There is no record of what type of firearms you purchase. There are some records at the point of sale. So the ATF can track when firearms are sold by the serial number, but they don't keep a database of that in terms of who purchased them. Does that make sense?
Right.
They can go back later and say, hey, we found this firearm at the scene of a crime or this firearm in a car, run the serial number and find out who was originally sold to.
Right.
But it doesn't work in reverse. So if you bought 10 guns, they're not going to know that you bought 10 guns. They're just going to know that a gun with a serial number was transferred to someone.
Okay. Okay. All right. I got a question from one of the public. What is the purpose of having a carrying concealed weapon if you have to make them aware of it is no longer concealed? The individual has not committed any crimes by legally carrying their firearm. Okay.
Oh, you mean why should they have to let police know that you're carrying the firearm?
Yes, I guess so. Yes,
because number one, it's smart. You know what I mean? I think it really helps separate for law enforcement. It's a good public policy, in my opinion, because it helps law enforcement separate wheat from chaff. Hey, this is a law-abiding gun owner. They clearly are not up to any crimes. They're not drinking. They're not doing drugs. And they told me they have a firearm. And not to mention, it's better in an interaction like that.
Right.
It's better that the law enforcement officer be told as opposed to having to figure out like it's a mystery. You know what I mean? Like seeing imprint of the gun and not knowing, hey, is this a good guy or a bad guy?
Right, right.
And so I think that's a smart public policy.
Hmm.
And I think it's good for both sides. It's not
Right.
only good for the safety of the officer and the public, I think it's good for the safety of the citizen as well. And I will tell you this,
Hmm.
when that law passed,
Hmm.
my agency, we put all our deputies through 8 hours of training on the new law, because
Okay.
now that more citizens would be carrying exposed and concealed firearms,
Hmm.
we wanted to make sure that our deputies were in the right headspace to be ready for that. Because before that, um, you know, if you came across someone with a firearm,
Hmm.
they would typically have a concealed carry permit, and it would
Right.
show up on their license plate
Okay.
check.
Okay.
So, knowing that it could be a surprise for some folks,
Hmm.
we want to put our deputies through training to acclimate them, so they didn't sink to the, they didn't
Right.
rise to the occasion like no one does, but could sink to the level of their training if they come across a law-abiding gun owner in a dynamic situation.
Right. Right. Kimmer had a if I can get this thing out the way, hopefully it'll come out the way. Let me see. She had a question in regards to, dang, why is this thing in the way? How do you get this thing out the way?
Would you click on the comment back behind there?
Let me see.
Would you scroll it?
Oh.
Maybe it'll.
Oh, there we go. Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. Hold on a second. Her question was, explain a little bit more between right and authority. I never really heard that stated before. The right versus authority.
Sure. Yeah. Great question, Kamara. So it always bugs me when people say the police have a right to do this or the police have a right to do that.
Right.
Rights are things that are in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Authority are things that are provided by law.
Okay.
And so, and it's just, for me, it's just nomenclature. You know what I mean? Because I respect the Constitution and I
Right.
respect the rule of law. And so I think that, police officers are employees.
Right.
They work for the people. They work for a jurisdiction. And, but I think it's important to recognize the difference between the right to do something and the authority to do something.
Right. Now, this law has been in effect how long now?
Oh, I think about a year and a half.
Have you seen any rise in I don't know what I would ask. The rise of illegal guns or the rise of theft, or has crime changed any in regards to guns?
Definitely. If you look at the statistics that the Omaha Police Department just put out, they've seen a rise in the number of guns seized. And so that would be indicative of a rise in the number of guns interacted with out in the public. I can tell you that we've seen an increase in people coming into the courthouse and the city county building with guns. In most of those cases, although we had to take enforcement action against them, in most of those cases, the folks claimed that they just didn't know. I mean, we saw a noticeable uptick in firearms being brought into the courthouse. And in one case, one of the firearms being brought into the courthouse, we do suspect this guy was going in for a protection order hearing. He was already out on bond for a serious crime, went in with a handgun with one round in the chamber. We suspect he was either going to take his own life, take maybe his ex-wife's life, maybe attack the judge. And so, but in most cases that we've seen, it's been an issue of people claiming that they were ignorant to the law, which again goes back to the training component.
Right.
It's not worth losing your gun. It's not worth getting cited over ignorance of the law. And that's where, even though the law does not mandate training, we've got to do a better part as a community to make sure we educate everybody about the basics of the law.
I mean, it's common sense. I mean, we have children. We have, I mean, offspring that we love, and we don't want them to make mistakes if, just by having ignorance of the law. So really, I mean, are you guys hands tied? I mean, do you guys I mean, do you feel different from 2 years ago to now?
I think that it's fair to say that some tools have been taken away, but at the same time, we're dealing with it. You know what I mean? I think that you've seen situations that some folks, because they haven't educated themselves about the basics of the new law,
Mm-hmm.
that they want to enjoy the new freedom of the new law,
Right.
but they apparently did not want to learn more about also the restrictions that are in the new
Right.
law. And so that's normal probably with any new law that comes into effect. There is
Mhm.
going to be a phase where uh, it's at that feeling out phase where people are getting used to the new public policy.
Mhm.
And I don't think, again, nothing's ever going to be perfect.
Right.
There's always going to be people that are not going to take time to educate themselves about the law, but that's where it's our obligation,
Mhm.
with your infrastructure here, being able to communicate with people directly, me as a sheriff, making sure that we're educating people the best that we can. I know the Omaha Police Department's doing that as well.
Right. Right. And I want to make sure that we're proactive, because with all the stuff that's going on today, to me, it's kind of like it's kind of mathematical when you give more of or less restrictions. A lot of times people don't behavior don't match that, and so they become careless. That's just human behavior.
Well, I think you got to plan accordingly. So,
Mhm.
if you want to go out and if you want to go out and have fun, if you want to go out and enjoy alcohol or whatever you use to take the edge off legally or unfortunately otherwise, that is probably not a good idea to take your firearm with you,
Mhm.
because not only is that not allowed per the law, but anytime that you inhibit your judgment, um, you're asking for trouble. I
Mhm.
don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the perfect handgun trainer,
Right.
like you're a Navy SEAL, you're a police officer, or you're just an average member of the public. It's not a good idea.
Right.
But the other thing is, and I'll tell you this too: when I get stopped by the police,
Mhm.
I got stopped by a trooper here recently, and man, the first thing I did, put my hands up.
Mhm.
I said, hey, I didn't tell him who I was, didn't tell him my rank or anything
Mhm.
like that. I said, hey, I just want you to know I am armed. Um, I've got a gun here in the center console. I've got a gun on my hip. I
Mhm.
got one in my bag.
Mhm.
And they appreciated it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And from there, the decision can be made to determine next steps. But that front end interaction, that compliance, I
Mhm.
mean, again,
Makes a
this is my
difference.
29th year of law enforcement. Okay. I know I have to comply
Mhm.
with law enforcement on a contact. And the best weapon I have in my toolbox to
Mhm.
keep myself safe is to stay cool
Right.
and calm.
Can this be um most boys have to get signed, well, all boys have to get signed up for selective service. I mean, could we make it maybe we have resource officers in high schools. Make that part of, make that part of their their outreach.
Yeah,
Um
you're singing my tune, man. I think there's a lot
mhm.
that we should be doing in high school that maybe
Mhm.
we're not. And
Mhm.
again, it's sad because I feel bad. Our public school system, sometimes they get the burden of having to be the catch-all for
Mhm.
everything if
Mhm.
parents aren't doing their
Parents and
part.
everything, they got to do everything.
But I do think, when it comes to basic handgun safety, probably a good idea to allow parents to decide if they want their kids to
Mhm.
to have exposure to that or not. I think uh, it should be provided or offered as a baseline. Give the parents the authority to have their kids not
Right.
be part of it if they don't want to.
Mhm.
I'm going through hunter safety with my 14-year-old boy, and I'm going to be certified as a hunter safety instructor. And
Okay.
so we've got a couple deputies that are going to do that with me, and the whole goal is we can make it easier for us to train young
Mhm.
people in our community. And if we
Right.
want to target and focus on certain areas in the community that we know either are in need of hunter safety, and hunter safety a lot of times is also firearm safety.
Mhm.
That's at the core of it.
Mhm.
So that'll be good. But I think it's similar to like driver's license. Like we should, you know, We should make getting a driver's license part of high school.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
just like handgun safety. Because here's the deal: you can plan your whole life as a parent. I don't want to buy guns. I don't want my kid being exposed to guns, and that's great, and
Mm-hmm.
that's your right. But what happens when your kid finds a gun discarded in a front yard
Mm-hmm.
or in an alley, or they go to a friend's house and a friend is playing with one?
Mm-hmm.
And so the universe, the world is bigger than the four corners of your house.
Right.
We got to make sure our kids are prepped.
Oh yeah, and prepared without a doubt. I grew up in the projects, but I was a law enforcement officer, so I've been on both sides of the fence. I've seen, both houses per se, and we have to prepare them because this is the real world. Like I said, they can go to a friend's house, and you never know what that friend is doing or what access they have.
That's right. Did you get some more questions up there?
Let me see. The authority does not supersede our constitutional right. They know an individual has a caring concealed by looking it up by its name. What they're doing is creating a situation where they're criminalizing or illegal carrying. Let me see. Weapon. The officer that murdered the young man was harassing him because he was having legal or registered gun. They are harassing legal.
Well, let me. That's those are great questions. Here's the deal: it's Tell the Truth Tuesdays. So we need to have tough conversations if we're ever going to solve tough problems.
So
you know what I mean. So
in 29 years, have you seen a road cop? I mean, have you seen someone that you felt that should be working by your side?
I have seen cops that have lost their jobs and should have.
Right. Okay.
But those are a fraction.
Okay.
The majority of the law enforcement officers I've worked with, have been great. Not perfect. It's just like in a sports team. You got the superstars.
Right.
You got the
all
players,
levels,
and you got some of the folks that maybe don't even want to be on the team, and then you got folks that you need to get off the team. And I think that historically, this community has done a pretty good job of differentiating between those. But like in the case right there, where I think it was Mr. and Miss Shabazz. I couldn't see.
Shabazz.
Yeah. Jahi Shabazz. I think that's kind of the goal in the new public policy is they want to give folks more opportunity to exercise their Second Amendment rights. But if you watch the Supreme Court lately, they have made sure that it's clear, and this is a very pro Second Amendment Supreme Court, that those rights are not without guardrails as well. And so we don't allow the Second Amendment. There are some people that say, well, the Second Amendment doesn't say anything about felons not being able to own guns.
Right.
Second Amendment doesn't say anything about drug addicts not being able to own guns or whatever. But the Supreme Court and the case law has narrowed those guardrails in the Second Amendment to say, hey, we're talking about law-abiding citizens here, and that the Constitution can be interpreted to narrow what that means. The authority of a law enforcement officer to be able to know if somebody is carrying a firearm and then temporarily take control of it through the duration of the contact has been established case law.
Okay.
That's lawful. That has endured the Second Amendment test.
Right.
And it does not unduly impede someone's Second Amendment rights.
Right, because you give it back. Yeah.
Because you're giving it back and you're only maintaining it during the duration of the stop if you decide to maintain it at all.
Okay.
As a law enforcement.
And this basically they don't have the right to, and you just have the authority to do that.
That's right.
And that's mainly for the safety of both.
That's right.
Okay. How can people when's the last time an officer, a sheriff have discharged their weapon? When's the last time a sheriff have shot someone?
I think the last case was a deputy on 108th and Maple earlier. I think it was later last year. That was the last officer-involved shooting that we had. And I can tell you, though, just in the time that I've been sheriff for just a little under 2 years, there have been numerous times in which our deputies, and the same thing for Omaha Police, I can tell you, we don't publicize these things as much. We should probably do it more. I'm going to start doing it more to make
Right.
sure folks know. But there are so many times in which law enforcement officers in this county encounter armed individuals who are committing crimes or wanted for committing crimes, who resist arrest or run while armed, and it does not end up in a fatal encounter.
Right.
That is the far and away that is the way that most of these scenarios turn out. I can tell you that in all my years, I spent a lot of time as a sergeant in the gang unit up north, fugitive unit. We spent a lot of time up north and all over the community. None of my guys or gals were involved in an officer-involved shooting, other than the one time where they did have to discharge their firearm at an individual that shot and hit one of my officers. And we're talking a working group that was almost daily, if not weekly,
Right.
coming in contact with armed individuals who either had a lawful right to carry or in most cases did not.
Right.
And so I know it's easy to get focused on the individual cases, and we do need to make sure that we're looking very carefully and closely and professionally at every individual case. But I think we also got to recognize that in the vast majority of cases, these armed scenarios are not ending up with a fatal outcome.
And I wanted to make this conversation more on the law versus in any individual case, because we really got a default on education. We really got to default on education, and if we can encourage, I've been maybe yourself also, and I've been encouraging the chief of Omaha Police. I know they got like 43% budget from the mayor office. I don't know where you guys get your budget from.
What's from property taxes, and we get roughly 4% of the money that goes to Douglas County government. So Douglas County government's about 13% of your total property tax bill. And then we get 4%, not 4% of 13%, but 4% of what that 13% represents. So we're pretty good deal when it comes to.
So are you guys budget controlled by the county commissioners?
Yes.
Okay, county commissioners. Okay.
Right. So county attorney, myself, public defender, we're all treasurer. We're all autonomous office holders, but the relationship, the checks and balances, is the county board will set our budget based on our recommendations. And again, you talk about the training. It's not just, I want to be fair and balanced for citizens. Of course, we need citizens to get training if they can, and they should. But also, it's an obligation of law enforcement executives like myself to make sure that we are providing appropriate training to our people. And I think we've seen, again, the outcomes bear that out, that the training is pretty good. I can think of a situation. We had an African-American gentleman on Sorensen, right around 90th and Sorensen Parkway. He was armed with multiple big butcher knives. He was slashing them towards cars. Deputies showed up, tried to give him verbal orders at gunpoint to drop the weapons. And eventually, after a standoff, it came to a peaceful conclusion because of the training. The training in modern day policing is take advantage of distance, take advantage of time, take advantage of trying to de-escalate.
Okay.
Knowing that there are situations where all three of those can go out the window immediately.
Right.
Like if you see the guy going with a knife towards an innocent person or charging at a police officer, you know, the evaluation can change quickly. But then also we've seen the evolution in less than lethal technology. So the sheriff's office recently upgraded our tasers from taser 7s to taser 10s.
Okay.
And taser 10s allow for multiple deployment opportunities, where it's a traditional taser, you fire one or two bursts, maybe at most, and you're done. You have to transition to a lethal platform if you've used it. With the taser 10s, you have multiple opportunities to fire disabling darts at someone.
Okay.
So if you miss them once, great, you have about 9 more opportunities.
Okay. How can we get a portion of your budget, maybe 1, 2, 3% of the 4%? It don't seem like a lot to me. um, towards you providing community training per se, and using that grant to invite the community in to get free training, gun training. That grant or portion of that budget goes um, towards that, that outreach. Or I know the last individual that you ran against, he thought about the property that you seize that comes back from the government. Can that money be used for grants where you can partner with local nonprofits like that's dealing with gangs
Well, those rules
or
changed. The
okay.
Biden administration came down with rules here recently that said that in no circumstances can any seized asset money be provided to any nonprofit effort, which upset me because we liked using it to fund skilled trade training for system involved youth. But so that's moot now. That's done. That ship has sailed. But I will tell you that we've had a lot of conversations with different firearms trainers. Like we've got a female out in the community that specializes in women's training. We've got another group that we work with that specializes in overall handgun training or firearm training in general. It would be smart. We're trying to put together a series of training sessions at our training room at the law enforcement center, where we can invite a certain number of people in person, but then also live stream it on our social media platforms, so that anybody, it's not as good as in person, but if you can at least take the time to watch training and start to get your headspace moving in the right direction, that might be what trips the trigger, no pun intended, but gets you next into an actual physical classroom environment.
Interesting. Well, cool. We got some in Omaha, the Burbs of Blush. We're talking to Sheriff Aaron Hanson. Just came in, talked about the new law, gun safety. We're going to have him come back again because it's important that that we have a safe community, and then God ordains or commands the man to protect and to provide, and so we all are law enforcement, really, according to God. It's our obligation, men, to protect and to provide, and that's the premise of our law enforcement that we pay, is to protect and provide service to the citizens of Dulles County, without a doubt.
True, but at the same time, we want to do that in a way that's balanced, because no one's going to be a law enforcement officer if you have to give your life on any given day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without a doubt.
And so that's where we need that smart balance and look at all these situations case by case. There is no one perfect solution to any of these scenarios.
Without a doubt. Law enforcement, they have families. They want to go home to their families. Their families want them to return. And if we know how to behave, then it's safe for everyone. We need law enforcement because it's necessary. We have accidents in this community. We have natural disasters. It's just not always criminal. It's just not always criminal. They provide other services besides that. Someone get carbon monoxide in the house. You have law enforcement. You have fire
all the
department.
Tornadoes, all the straight line winds. I mean, we have deputies and officers and firefighters pulling people out of houses left and right. Thank God, no loss of life. So you're exactly right. Police is not just here to enforce the law. They're here to be first responders and keep people safe.
Without a doubt. So let's we need to cool the climate. And I think one of the best way to cool the climate is education, so it doesn't continue. Individual cases, they're going to have to be worked out.
Education and talking. I think we've gotten into a bad habit of, we like to yell at each other on social media, or we like to yell at each other in person, but we don't take time to just have real talk anymore, because we're so afraid of conflict, or we love the conflict too much. And so we got to have more real talk about tough issues if we want to make tough solutions or find tough solutions.
Yeah, without a doubt. The only way to do it is conversation. That's the only way we're going to find solutions. We're humans, and the best way to solve problems is to sit down calmly, peacefully. But every once in a while we can
get animated. It's America. I mean,
we debate. We can debate.
Yeah. Emotion is a good thing.
Oh,
If
without
you
a
know,
doubt.
if you know how to write it, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
emotion is a flag that tells you, hey, either this is something I feel strongly about
Mm-hmm.
and I need to move further, or hey, this is something I might feel too strongly about because it's too personal and maybe I need to step back. Emotion is a good thing to be able to navigate
Without a
if you
doubt.
know how to navigate it appropriately.
If a person wanted to get in law enforcement, who do they need to call? What kind of qualifications do they need?
Well, high school diploma, age 21 at the time that you graduate from the academy. Got to have you don't have to have a perfect criminal background, but you have to generally have a clean criminal background.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot use any hard drugs.
What about
5 years.
What about marijuana?
Marijuana is 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
And so, but we've got options. So
Mm-hmm.
in the sheriff's office, we've got one of the only remaining Explore programs
Mm-hmm.
for high school kids.
Okay.
And it's fun. We give you a uniform. We meet every 2 weeks up at the sheriff's office. We always do something different. We expose them to traffic stops, CSI, canine, drones, everything. So
wow,
it's fun for the kids, and we'll also sometimes we'll try to bring the kids in, either doing volunteer work with the community, or sometimes if we've got a public safety situation we need to have their help on. The elderly gentleman that was missing for a long time in North Omaha, we had a lot of our explorers last year that helped volunteer on a hot day to walk.
See, all that stuff need to be publicized. See, all the
but that's a great entry point into, because especially, when I was a kid at North High, I never thought about being a police officer. I mean, my dad was a chemist. I thought I was going to go the route that he did. Never occurred to me until I bumped into a couple of police officers when I was a young, graduated from high school. I was like, man, those guys are cool. You know what I mean? I like that. And then I ended up getting a job at the old North Omaha Shopco, catching shoplifters going through college. And it exposed me to police professionals. I'm like, man, I think I like that job. But without that exposure, without that positive role model, it's tough. Not just policing, it's tough for any industry.
Do you guys, this kind of, I got an epiphany. Do you guys have a relationship with the Step Up program during the summertime, where you can get youth in the summertime, where you can even expand that program in the summertime? Where
we haven't extended that to Step Up. One thing we are trying to do is historically we've had a lot of luck, for whatever reason, recruiting kids from the suburban high schools into our Explorer program. Right now, we're going to try to get specifically with the Explorer. Explorer program's a subset of the Boy Scouts, Boy Scouts of America.
Right.
We're going to try to get with OPS and see if we can create one specific Explorer post for OPS kids, because that's really where we make our gains.
That makes sense
in terms of diversity.
It makes sense because you actually like another ROTC.
It would be, but I will tell you this: even without for whatever reason, even without OPS kids being a big bulk of our kids in our Explorer program, it's very diverse. I'd say it's about 50-50 male to female. A lot of diversity within the class, a lot of racial and ethnic diversity within our group, and it's always full every year. Now, what we also have available at the sheriff's office is, even if you're not, let's say you're a high school graduate, say you went through the Explorer program, or you really would like a future in law enforcement, even though you're too young to be a deputy, we can hire you as a building security officer.
Okay.
So it's a 24/7, 365 job. It's uniformed, but it's unarmed.
Okay.
You're in a uniform. You got the badge on your chest. You're wearing a bulletproof vest. And your job is to maintain the infrastructure safety of the city county building downtown and the courthouse around the clock.
Right. Okay.
And, they help supplement the deputies that we have down there and the armed entrance screening officers that we have down there. So we do have options, unlike many other law enforcement agencies, to hire a kid into the sheriff's office, potentially right out of high school, depending on their age. And then does two things in my mind. Helps integrate a young person into the sheriff's office. Okay. Keeps them busy, keeps them exposed. They get to know the agency, but on the other hand, it keeps them busy in a good way too. You're a young person working overnights, protecting the courthouse. It means you're not out You're not out getting in trouble or smoking weed, because a lot of times that's where we miss kids. It's like, when's the last time you smoked weed? 6 months ago. You got to wait another 18 months. And by the time you get there, who knows what happens?
Yeah, and that's part of the educational process,
Right.
you know. So, and preparing them early, so they can know that what's necessary. But I would love to see that in the high schools, similar to when ROTC used to walk around. They had great respect. You know what I mean? They was in uniform. In order to change the perception of police, police need to go straight to the roar, to those that have the most conflict with police, and that's into the high schools, and sometimes that's passed on through other people's experiences and not their own experiences.
Well, I think that's where Omaha and our agency, we do really good with the SRO, the School Resource Officer program. Not only are they those protectors, but they're also those mentors and those coaches. Right. And so humanizing the badge, it's hard to not know, who your SRO is if you go to high school.
Let us know where you can come get a job at.
Okay. Well, it's real easy. If you can always keep an eye on the Douglas County Human Resources page. If you just Google Douglas County, Nebraska jobs or Douglas County Human Resources, you can also go to Team DCSO, teamdcso.gov, and that'll give you direct exposure to anyone in our agency or one of our recruiters to help flesh out if a job in law enforcement or the sheriff's office is right for you. Did I filibuster enough? Was that good? All right.
Well, Omaha, the birds of bless. I want to thank our sheriff for coming in and explaining the new law. So we're in the know. If you have questions, make sure you reach out to the sheriff department or Omaha Police Department or Highway Patrol. If you guys have any questions in regards to any new law or any current laws, especially if we got young people, and then also safety, et cetera, et cetera. So anything else that we forgot that you want to mention?
Unless you got more questions, it's up to you. If you got some questions popping in, we can take time.
All right, hold on one second. Let me take a quick break. I'm gonna go open the door real quick for another guest, and then we'll be right back. We'll take one more question. I got one more question for the sheriff, and then we'll be right back.
It's the world famous shit. And it's your number one DJ, Mr. Soul. Yeah, she done cooked up in here. And it goes like, shout out to my DJ. We about to run the streets like a relay. All about my cheese like I'm Green Bay. Packages coming in like it's eBay. Oh, and we know just how to get it all. You gotta deal with playing, you know I get it all. Hit the block and make it summer song. If it ain't about money, then I don't get involved. Look, make a call, he gon' get it all. Vacuum seal it before we send it all. Yeah, I'm hot, no ethanol. Put a bag on his head, that's a problem solved. Ever get about a hater? No, not at all. Ever trust a trick? No, not at all. Get a smooth lick when they got it all. Never ever been a worker, always been a boss. Catch me riding on my dolo. Trying to find a way to get some more dough. I think I found my mojo. And I ain't going broke no more. True. Got these little haters mad. Why? Cause I'm really in my bag. Right. Invest and make it double back twice. Just a youngin' living that fast life. Shout out to my DJ. We about to run the streets like a relay. All about my cheese like I'm Green Bay.
All right. We'll come right back with our sheriff. We got our next guest coming in. I mean, she's already here. She's running for, I think, state government?
State Board of Education.
State Board of Education. You see, we're talking about education, training. We're backing it up with someone that's on the board. Now, Brother Hanson, so you've actually worked with Omaha Police. So you got experience on as a police officer, as a sheriff. What job you like better? Am I putting you on the spot?
I love them both. They're both good for their own reasons. But yeah, it was a great career with Omaha Police, and I think it helps create a great relationship between the sheriff's office and the Omaha Police today.
Now, you are an elected official. How often you got to run?
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years. Mm-hmm. So, all right, well, cool. So far, so good. So far, so good. Now, the only time we got to come out to see you in regards to guns is to a purchase permit. Is that correct?
Yep. So if you want to buy, sell, loan, or acquire, or have a handgun transferred to you or transferred to someone else, only handgun, you come to the sheriff's office. That's 156 in Maple, 3601 North 156th Street. Bring your current ID. You have to go to a county that you live in.
Okay.
That's the sheriff's, the county that you reside. You'll fill out the application form to get your handgun purchase permit. Typically, absent some type of, more complex background check, we'd like to try to get it to folks within 24 hours, but you have to get it no later than 3 days.
Okay. All right.
Three working days.
All right. And that's, because, Christmas is coming up and people get, gifts all the time. And so we want to make sure that you guys are, not ignorant of the law.
Well, just be careful. If you're buying a gift for someone, I would recommend you keep it in your family, because there's also federal laws. It's called straw purchase laws.
Okay.
So if you purchase a handgun, you have to attest under penalty of felony crime that you are not buying that to transfer it to someone else or to give it to someone else.
Okay.
So you have to be really, really careful. I would never recommend buying a gun to give it to someone else who's not in your immediate family. If anything else, if you want to give a gift to someone for a gun, get them a gift certificate to that gun shop and let them go and purchase it themselves.
So if I buy my girlfriend a gun,
girlfriend is not technically considered
family member, right?
Yeah, immediate family. So I'd be careful with that, because that can quickly, you can see how in your case you would have nothing but good intentions. In another case, it could be a flat out legitimate straw purchase and could be a felony.
Oh, okay.
So if you were to, like, let's say your girlfriend were to be encountered with that gun, and they said, and somehow the investigation turned out that, well, I got this gun from my boyfriend 2 weeks ago, and they go back and check, and they're like, well, that gun was bought 3 weeks ago. You could potentially be facing federal questions, some pretty tough federal questions from the ATF about being a straw purchaser.
Wow, man, these laws can get really tangled really quick. I encourage you guys to make sure that if you got a gun or you're thinking about buying a gun, or if you get a gun for a gift, please just call the sheriff office or Omaha Police Department. So you know the law in your situation.
It's always smart. It's always smart to ask questions on the front end, because it can't, listen, admittedly, it can be complex. And that's why we're here to help navigate those situations.
Without a doubt. Omaha, the Burbs, the Bluffs. Oh, yeah, we got our sheriff in here. The top. Oh, yeah, they go all over the county. Make sure you guys reach out. If you need a job, make sure you call their front office. They can guide you to make sure that happens. And if you're a young person, you want to get in law enforcement, they can also help you out also. So make sure you guys call the Douglas County Sheriff Department for any of your needs. Sheriff, we thank you for coming in and educating us.
Thanks, brother.
Without a doubt. We'll have you come black again. Without a doubt. We'll have him coming black again. Without a doubt. We got our next guest coming in. But first, I'm going to go to a break, and we'll be right back with you. All right, let's take
I'm the chosen one, yeah. My brother hand me the toy, say, yeah, you better run. Put your foot on the gas, don't let him none. Do the dash of the bird out. Put the brain on your stern wheel. Better not miss your turn, no. Family dependent, gotta work out. I gotta really go hard, cause none of this is for certain. But I'm gonna get to $1. Gotta make sure my little brother's scholars. And you know, I'ma spoil them, know that I'm up there. I should out for them. I ain't worried about what I'm gonna give them they needs. For my family, I bleed. Money don't grow on trees. I do the crops, get cream. I risk it all for the team. You'll see that I see. NFL get sleazy. Roll around with some demons. Never trying to get even. So I gotta stop at the beam on. This life get dangerous. Go switch sides. Ain't changing up. That's strange to us. These fiends be your homies. I had to tell you to come around. Cause you think that you owe me. I'm 100 and thought I never felt. So don't go up and phony. We start to pound out you the walking trophy. I get whatever you please. Zone catching cold. Cause when it's time to ride, you gon' slide. Ay, just in case I got that thing that bang up on my side. Only got one shot up in this life. This is do or die. So I'm gon' get it all. I'm jumping off the post. I swear that we gon' ball. Ain't no fall. Mama, I did it. I put my baby on the flight. We going to talk business. We in Miami. Can't make up this life I'm living. Yeah, I'm gonna get it. Ain't no wishes, stay consistent. It's all about repetition, baby. Got out the mud, I'm beating the odds. It felt so amazing. They said I couldn't do it, so you put it on God. Yeah, you must be crazy. Pants on ready for war. Any weapon against you shall fall. You the op ain't with y'all. From a block, you know how to rap. Got real hitters in the spot. With pods, real hood dots with the mobs. Cops kill us cause they wanna. Trying to make it out of the trauma. PTSD come around when you're younger. Cause you rap it careful when you come here. Can't run faster than a bullet in a cornfield. Yeah, it's amazing. Trying to make it out of this place. Follow me and lead the way. Don't go straight, stay tunnel vision when you feel the pain. Gotta keep your head up through the rain. Bad days don't last always. Stay tunnel vision when you feel the pain. Gotta keep your head up through the rain. Bad days don't last always. Nah. Bad days don't last always. I'm the chosen one, yeah. My brother had me the choice, say, yeah, you better run. Put your foot on the gas, don't let him none. Do the dash, look burnt out. Look the brake on your steering wheel. And I miss your turn, no. That ain't the bit, I gotta work, yo. I gotta really go hard, cause none of this is certain. Cause none of this is certain.
Ah, oh yeah, that's Saranda. She goes to well, she went to Central High School. Now she knows she graduated. Now she's a businesswoman, and she's going to be performing at. It's a vibe. It's a Halloween music and comedy show. Man, these cats are funny. They funny. You got to show up. It's going to be. I got a couple free tickets. August the 27th. If you want to go, you can ride with me. You can ride with me. I got a couple of tickets. You want to check it out. But Sharana, she's gonna be performing that night. So they got comedians, artists. I think they got musicians, magicians. You know, that I and that A boy gets me sometimes. Omaha, the Birds of Bless. We got a guest in the house, and you know how these stars are. They got their own noun, verbs, adjectives, prepositional phrases, all yes and predicates. For real, this lady has all of it because she's running to control all that. Let me turn the lights off so we can get a little glow in here. Oh yeah, there we go. The lights, camera, action. A little darkness. But honestly, she is on that level for real. Adjective, verbs, nouns, all that stuff, and a little bit of arithmetic, probably a little bit science,
A little bit.
And
civics. Don't forget civics.
Little civics, yeah. Let people know who you are and why are you here today.
Well, my name is Lisa Schonhoff, and I am running for the State Board of Education in District 3.
Okay. Now, where's District 3?
District 3 is 8.5 counties. So our State Board of Education is divided into 8 districts based on population. So I have Madison and Platte counties all the way over to Burton, Washington counties and Western Douglas County.
Okay. So you got some of us too then. Okay.
Yes.
That's a lot of counties.
Yeah, I've been all over the place. I've been running for a year and a half.
Okay.
And the reason why I decided to run is to help make a difference for our kids, get back to the basics, and improve our proficiency rates in literacy and math.
Okay. Now, what's your background? What's your educational background?
So I have 24 years of classroom teaching experience.
Okay. All right.
I have 3 degrees in the education field.
Okay.
I taught first grade, third grade. I was an instructional coach in inner city priority schools for math, literacy, and English as a second language or English language learners. And that just means kids who have another language spoken in their home could qualify for my services. And for the last 6 years, I've been in Bennington doing their English as a second language program. So I kind of started it up, got it going, coordinated it, and taught kindergarten through 12th grade.
Okay, great.
And there's over 20 languages in Bennington.
20 in Bennington?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I know it's like 99. Wait, what's going on in Omaha? What y'all bringing all these people around the world here?
I know. There's a lot of different demographics.
Wow. I want to see all these people. I really want to see all these people. I see only a few people. Maybe I need to go outside a little bit more.
Yeah.
Man, so you've been in the classroom. You've seen the blood, sweat, and tears. For real, literally.
Yes.
Especially first, second, third grade.
Well, yeah. And, when I taught first grade, there were 8 first grade classes in the school, big school, inner city, Kansas City, Kansas is where I taught.
Okay.
And I had 97% of my kids on free and reduced lunch, and 93% were English as a second language.
Wow.
And that first year teaching, I almost quit my job.
Mm.
And the reason why is because I didn't feel qualified to teach those kids to read.
Right.
So I went into my instructional coach and I said, I've chosen the wrong field. I was in tears. I said, I just am not prepared to teach these kids to read. I feel like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And my instructional coach said to me, Lisa, scratch what you've been told. You have complete autonomy to do what you need to do to help these kids to read.
Right.
So that's when I decided to go back and get another degree in instruction, curriculum and instruction with ESL emphasis. And she let me just try all the different things. I got to try lots of new strategies. And that was back in 2001.
Okay.
And since then, I have devoted my life to teaching kids to read and learning the best strategies for it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, that made a difference in my household. My mom couldn't read and write, and she challenged me. She was my first competitor. If I didn't know a word, she'll say, my nickname was Man, but she said, if I didn't know a word, she'll call me Boy. Why am I sending you to school? So I had to go back and learn those words. So no, reading is very important, and it can get you and open every door.
For sure.
So politics. Why politics now? Because I mean, even though it's still school board, but it's still a little politically.
It absolutely is. And I never had a desire to be in politics. My extent of politics has just been paying attention to and making sure I know who to vote for.
Right.
But one of the things I've noticed is that we have 43% of our high schoolers proficient in literacy on the ACTs, so our high school students. And if you combine kindergarten through 12th grade, we probably still barely have 50% of our students proficient in literacy. And with so many teachers leaving the field, I think it's really important to have someone on the board who understands not only how to teach kids reading and math,
Right.
but someone who understands what it's like teaching in the classrooms and what teachers need to be able to feel successful at their job. And so my goal in running is to be that person on the board that knows what teachers need as well as what students need, because that's my background. And politics comes with that. Let me tell you, the politics behind this is brutal.
Really?
Yeah, it's an expensive campaign. It's a non-paid job. And I actually gave up teaching to do it because I'm that passionate about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So wow. Are you're a lawyer part-time too? Then what you doing? Are you married?
I am married to the man of my dreams.
Okay. All right.
We have 4 children.
Okay, good.
We have children all the way from, I have an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And my husband, I told him about 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And he goes, that's crazy. And I said, I feel like it's just on my heart and that we really, really need someone who has a strong understanding of literacy so that we can improve literacy rates across our state. If we continue at the rate we are at, I mean, think about Sheriff Hanson being here just now.
Right.
Our jails and our prisons are already full.
Right.
We spend more on incarceration rates down the road if we don't get our kids feeling successful in reading and math.
I agree with you.
So, and not only that, but the best way to cure mental health issues is to help our kids feel successful. So if we can get our kids feeling successful by the time they're in 3rd grade, chances of them being successful in life go up drastically.
Right. Well, I mean, reading is the equalizer, and it helps with every other class. And to have all that many years of classroom experience, I think that's a great default in regards to knowing what the teacher actually needs because you already been in that arena. I always say the best referees are the ones that actually played the sport versus the ones that just read about the rules.
I could not agree more. And
Mhm.
one of the biggest concerns that I have is teachers are leaving because they aren't able to feel successful in their jobs. If you ask any teacher, there's two main reasons why they will tell you they're leaving. One is the behaviors in the classroom, and the other is that we just keep putting more on their plates and taking nothing off. And a lot of times the stuff that we're putting on their plates is not actually making better readers, writers, and mathematicians.
Is your goal is to focus on curriculum, changing the curriculum itself?
The State Board of Education is over our state standards, which is the curriculum for the entire state. Our education commissioner has set a goal to have 75% of our students proficient in literacy by 2030.
Okay.
That's a big goal. And we've got to do some things different if that's going to happen. And I want to be a part of that change. I want to help be over the curriculum and instruction for our state. I want to be out in the classrooms. I want to be attending local school board meetings. I want to get out in the schools and see and learn and figure out just exactly what it is that all of these local districts are needing from the state to be successful. So I plan on being very hands-on.
Okay. Do you have opponents?
I have one opponent, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to mention their name or anything like that.
Yes, he is a retired superintendent.
Okay.
And so he has a lot of experience coaching and a lot of experience running our schools. I have a lot of experience teaching kids to read and do math.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we actually need those that actually know how to teach.
Yes.
For real. Administrators are totally different than actual teachers. Shouts out to all my teachers, without a doubt. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without my teachers. And my college coach just called me a couple of days ago, checking on me. You know what I mean? I'm 59, coach. You know what I mean? But he's a great teacher to myself, because as I was telling the sheriff, I was going to quit school, and he gave me the best lesson in life. He said, Billy, he said, you'll be doing a disservice to your family, to your mom, if you quit. And so that was the greatest lessons that I've ever learned, and it came from a teacher, a coach. And so teachers are so fond to me. So are you going to be advocating raising teacher salary? Is that part of your?
So we don't have control over that on the State Board of Education. Now, do I advocate for teacher salaries?
Mhm.
Absolutely. As a teacher, absolutely.
Mhm.
However, that's not the main reason teachers are leaving the field. The teachers are leaving the field because of the crazy behaviors and the crazy demands on them that are not helping.
Is I always default to parenting. Is it what do you see as a problem? What, as a teacher, because usually a teacher are the first to see abuse in what's happening to the children. The teachers are the kind of first front line of the safety of children in reality.
So here's the thing.
Does it make a difference? Is it more poor families versus private schools, or is it where are you seeing is poverty? Is that kind of like the baseline problem or default problem? Or
as a teacher, we cannot control what happens outside of the school.
Right.
And we have to let parents be the parents. And what has happened over the past 24 years that I've seen. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. I taught inner city, Kansas City, Kansas. I had a first grader bring marijuana into my classroom. Okay. I called his mom and I said, you can either come get him or you can come sit with him, but he's going to this is not tolerated.
Right.
This won't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, that was my first year teaching.
Mm.
And I realized very quickly that kids need to feel safe by having high expectations and firm expectations, clear expectations.
Right.
And when you set boundaries for your kids in your classroom, they do better.
Right. Yeah, without doubt.
So that kid, his mom came and got him. He wasn't a problem the rest of the year for me.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of my favorite students. I can still remember his name, Taman. He was great. And now today, when kids get in trouble at school, it's completely changed. You can have a first grader kicking, screaming, throwing furniture, cussing, spitting, all of that. And what do the teachers do? They're being told to take all of the other children out of the room, disperse them into everyone else's classrooms, let that kid that's throwing the fit continue to throw the fit until they calm down. And then once the child is calm, someone has to go and clean up that furniture and clean up that room before they can bring all the other kids back. So now we've disrupted all the other children's education.
Right.
Not in just that classroom, but all the other classrooms that they were dispersed to. For that child that threw the fit to maybe be removed from the classroom for 30 minutes and then brought right back again.
Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that?
And it's all about.
They had just had in-house suspension, or you go down to the principal office, you sit there in your room until you chill.
So
it's called timeout.
I think the problem is that we're all so scared to be sued anymore.
Sue for how?
Okay, I have another story for you. I was in the hallway teaching a group, and I saw this young, cute teacher kind of bopping around with a kindergartner. And I said, "Excuse me, do you need help?" And she said, "No." So I just kind of watched while I was teaching my little group of kids out in the hallway. And I watched, and she was trying to block the child from running out of the building. Well, my brain immediately went to that little boy in Papillion who ran out of the building, never to be found again.
Right.
So I said, "Watch my group. I'll take care of your student." And I took him by the hand firmly. And I said, "You will not stay in this hallway. You will walk back to class. You're not making safe choices. I'm the adult. You're the child." And the child looked at me and he screamed, "You're going to kill me." And I said, "Nope, I'm the adult. You're the child. You will walk back to class." And I just took him back to class. And he got this sigh of relief look, just like, wow, okay, there's an adult in charge. And that's what we need. And that's what we need to be training our teachers to do.
Right.
So that teacher had said to me right after that, I'm not trained to touch a student yet. And so we've kind of gotten to this point where we're so scared to get sued that we have lost common sense when it comes to, let's hold a child's hand and walk them back. Let's be firm. Let our kids know that there are boundaries and that they will follow these.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Guidelines. Yeah. So it's just, we've kind of lost sight of how to manage our classrooms, and we need better administrative support, and we need teachers get back to the basics of teaching and not being the mental health expert, not being the behavioral expert.
Right.
And if we can let the teachers get back to teaching and their content and giving them the autonomy to be able to meet the needs of their students without extra junk that we're putting on their plates, I have full confidence we'll be able to retain teachers.
All right. Well, you sound like a great person for the job. It's like a great person for the job because you got to have that kind of understanding in order to implement any type of solutions. Teachers do need the flexibility, but also they need support from the families also, which is also crucial.
Yes. And we can write policies to get parents back involved. The parents are the kids' number one teacher. And I understand that not all kids have the stable home life. But at the same time, those are the exception, depending on, demographics and where you're living and poverty. Yes, it can be more challenging. But we need to make sure that we're not putting all of the extra jobs on teachers' plates.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Counselors, do you guys need more school counselors? Is that?
I'm not sure that is really it's hard to say. I think it depends on the school, and I think it depends on the district. And so that's definitely kind of a local control issue, depending, the stakeholders would have to really brainstorm on what we can do to take some of this extra junk off of the teachers' plates.
Yeah, because I remember, man, I shout out to Brian High. My counselor got me a speech therapist. And so that's what the counselors are there to recognize any disabilities that can help a student educationally. And so it should be working hand in hand so you don't have to deal with the behavioral stuff, because the counselors should recognize anything that can that a kid can discriminate negatively by acting out because they might trying to hide a disability or something. Counselors are very important to identifying those disabilities, so it's a lot easier for a teacher to reinforce that therapy. And so I know, how can people get into get involved with your campaign? You've been running for a year and a half, and I know it takes yard signs, and I know it takes funding in order to send out mailers, and et cetera, et cetera. How can they get in contact, involved with your campaign?
So the politics side has all been very much a learning experience. And yes, a year and a half, we've done 24 parades, and now my daughter sees me put on my Lisa shirt and she's like, "Mom, not another parade." My husband has put out, we've gone through 125 of those large 4x8 signs, and he's put up about half of those.
Okay.
And those are not that fun to put up. You've got to get the
get a stake in the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we've gone through probably close to 1,000 yard signs.
Okay.
And so what can you do? Go to my website. It's Nebraska.com. And you can take a look at all of my information. You can reach out if you have questions, and you can donate to that website, or you can reach out and ask me for a yard sign. My district in Douglas County is just Bennington, Elkhorn, and West.
Okay.
So, but then I'm in, like I said, 8 other counties as well. And I would say just spread the word that we need somebody on the school who really understands the continuum of learning and math instruction. And that's what I've spent my last 24 years doing. And so I hope to be a part of fixing our proficiency rates.
Cool. Well, I went to college in Fremont. Is Fremont in your area?
Yes,
Dodge?
it is. Yes.
Okay, so I got some clout up there. So I let everybody. Yeah. I'm the man up there, without doubt.
Awesome.
I'm the man.
Yes.
So,
Fremont, I just put large signs.
Okay, I'll let everybody know. Sure, I'm a man up there for real. That's what my coach called me from Fremont.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
my
that's
ex-coach.
great.
Yeah, coach at Midland Lutheran College. Well, it's called Midland University now.
Okay.
But he called me from Fremont. I'll be up in Fremont next week. It's homecoming. Oh yeah, my homeboys coming from DC and Milwaukee. Oh yeah, it's gonna be packed. So yeah, we're gonna let people. You probably need to come to the homecoming.
Oh, I know.
I forget who they playing. I don't know who they even playing. They might. I think they might be playing Hastings. Hastings in your area too, right?
Is it Hastings? It's a little out of my area.
Okay, Hastings. Okay, that's okay. A little bit further west. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so small world. You got a phone number also, or do you got a campaign number, or just your website they go to?
Everything is on my website.
Okay, and that's
Lisa4Nebraska.com. And the reason why
is that the number 4, or
it's FOR spelled out.
Okay.
Yep. And the reason why I'm Lisa for Nebraska is because I'm Lisa for Nebraskan students.
Okay.
Lisa for Nebraskan taxpayers.
Okay.
And Lisa for Nebraskan values.
Okay. All right. Well, you got it down. See how the teachers are? They know how to use those sentences. Without a doubt. Anything that we didn't discuss that you'd like to get across this morning?
I'm excited to work for Nebraskans. It's all volunteer and it's to make a difference for the kids. And I would love to work for all of you wonderful Nebraskans.
Without a doubt, she's like a great candidate. Anyone that has spent 2 decades, is that 10 years? Decades of 10 years,
Yep,
right? Okay,
yeah.
centuries, 100 years. Okay, we real smart over here, y'all. No, 2 decades and a half to our young people, inner city, suburban. She's worked with all students, which is necessary in order to be a great advocate on the next level. McQueen said, "Thank you, Lisa."
Absolutely.
Let's see what else we got. We got any questions over here? Let's see what we got. Yeah, I am in agreement. Yes, fathers and mothers' involvement is presently working together to betterment our children. Nice show. The parents need to support the teachers too. And you're right. I love when my son's older now, so every once in a while I'll take my my grandkids to school, and I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just, and I love school.
Me
I
too.
love school.
Me too.
I loved it. So I can't wait to go back to my college next week and have a flashback.
Yay, that'll be so fun.
Yeah, I cannot wait to be in that environment. There's no better environment than an educational environment. No better. And I substitute taught before.
Did.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about going back. And the reason why is because I saw, and I had Dr. Thompson on here. I don't know if you know Dr. Thompson. Professor over at UNO, former city councilman. And he said that since his retirement, he went back to substitute teaching a couple of times a week. And he went to Northwest. And he said that you really need some more men in the classroom. Need more men in the classroom. So I love substitute teaching. I taught all over from Gross to Blair, all around. All the Catholic schools I've taught. And so I thought about maybe doing it, just going back.
I think it's great. I think it's substitute teachers are in high demand, and especially good ones.
Okay.
So we need more. We need more paraprofessionals. We need more substitute teachers, and we need more great teachers.
Period. How can we raise the salary for teachers? What's going to be done?
Well, that's a local issue. That's depending on budget, and so my opinion on it, I think that we spend a lot of our tax dollars on things that are not necessary. And I think that the local school boards need to kind of push back on some of the spending that takes place so that we can prioritize our teachers.
Right. I agree. Teachers taught everybody, y'all. That's what I really don't understand why we don't want to pay them. They taught everybody, not computer programmers, not nuclear scientists. No, teachers. They taught everybody. It's like women. They birth everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, be quiet, y'all. They birth everybody. You know what I mean? They birth everybody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I just don't understand it. Omaha, the Birds of Bluffs. Lisa
Schonhoff.
Schonhoff. So I kind of like show off.
Okay. I always tell my students
I do like that show. I like that show off.
Yeah.
Lisa show off.
Lisa showing off the education.
Without a doubt.
I always tell my students that's how to remember my name, Mrs. Show Off, with an N in the middle.
Yeah, Schonhoff. Okay, all right. She's running for a state board of education, District 3. She needs your vote. Without a doubt, if you're not in her district, but you went to college in Western Nebraska, you know somebody in those districts, let them know that she's running, and she's going to be a great advocate for our young people for the state of Nebraska. I just met her. How did we meet?
I met you at Don Bacon's event.
Yeah, it was at Bacon event. Yeah, I was yumming up. Yeah. No, it was at the debate. Vargas and debate. I think it was down at the press club.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
she said she was running. And just must have said she was running. I said, well, come on the show. Let's brag off our neighbors.
I love it.
And then plus we need to see who's actually running for these positions, so we can get a personal touch with them. And so especially for the lower boards, they don't have the monies like the Vargases and the Bacons to get on TV.
It's true.
And so you got to meet them face to face. And so I wanted to bring Lisa in so you guys get a chance to know her. I'm glad she had a chance to come in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Great.
Give your campaign information out again so people can support you.
Yes, it's go to Lisa for FOR Nebraska.com. You can see more about me there. I'm also on Facebook, Lisa Schonhoff for Nebraska State Board of Education. Follow along on my page. And we've got 4 weeks to go.
Wow.
Early voting started yesterday.
It did? Okay.
And so we've got 4 weeks. I'm excited for those 4 weeks to be over because I'm ready to get to work for Nebraskans.
Yeah, without a doubt. So once he gets the victory, it's time to work. Work time. Like Terrence Crawford, work time, baby. Work time.
You know it.
Without a doubt. Omaha, the Birds of Bluff. It is 8:47. Let's play some more. Let's go back to some more music before we get out of here. Boss with us, okay? All right.
Yeah.
Everybody for their mouth, the selfie. Everybody for their mouth, the selfie. Wishy-washy, 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 wishy-washy. Yo, wishy, 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 yo, wishy. Said you wishy-washy, 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 you wishy-washy. Y'all done open that box like a couple of thoughts. Y'all just wishing y'all watch it. Take a look at my watch. Someone look at my watch. Y'all just wishing y'all watch it. At the shows, got the moles coming to see me. Got the hoes coming to see me. Got flash shows coming to see me. My dogs, all the pros, I'm a hog coming to see me. I got moms coming to see me. Moms coming to see me. Yeah. And y'all wishing y'all watch it. If you thirsty. Us, all about that nonsense, running from the cops. I wish I would, I'd be ready to relapse. Yeah. I am my own boss, I know what that costs. I've taken my loss. Yeah. Yo, say yo, wash it. Yo, wash it, yo, wash it. Yo, wash it, yo, wash it. Yo, wash it, yo, wash it, yo, wash it. Yo, wash it, yo, wash it. Yo, wash it, yo, wash it. Said you wishy-washy. You wishy-washy, you wishy-washy, you wishy-washy, you wishy-washy, you wishy-washy, you wishy-washy, you wishy-washy. That's B-Toppy, you drop it on me, she acting naughty. Your friends, you telling everybody. Now they talk about me, they ask about me. If it makes you happy, if it makes you feel important, that's what make me happy. I diamonds on my necklace, that will make me happy. All the loyalty's important, it will make you happy. Now you feeling crappy. Take the fame, I want more. Give me the rain, making it pour. Give me the pain, give me it all. I want diamonds, I want gold. King of diamonds when I'm bored. Got that juice, got the sauce. I need props. I need props to my pops. I need props to my mom, to my Ivy, to my Frankie, to my Kelly, to my Jordy. Shout out to my fam squad, aka the Glam Squad. If you represent her, yeah, I wish you, yeah. When you hold your arms around me, you love me and you love me. I feel love. Do you understand? I feel love over and over again. Lately, things been alright. Sandy, probably 'cause of our fight. Oh yeah, babe. And I can't ignore the fact that you're mine. Oh yeah, babe. And I plan to spend the rest of our lives. You love me and you love me. I feel love. Did you understand? I feel love over and over again. Heart rate racing on high. Andy, love me, hold me tonight. When you hold your arms around me, I feel complete. When I wake up in the morning, you're all I see. When you love me and you love me, I feel love. Don't you understand? I feel love over again.
Oh yeah, we call this day Tell the Truth Tuesday, y'all. Again, I want to thank Lisa Schonhoff. Run for State Board of Education, District 3, y'all. She needs y'all vote. And then, oh yeah, Aaron Hanson coming through. Boss with us.
Ain't nobody do me like you. They can't put it down like you do. So baby, take your time. This is how you can hit. Save all this fancy thing. Yeah, all I need is you. You're the one I choose. Baby, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, cha cha cha, cha cha cha. So baby, come on, give it to me, so me, cha cha cha, cha cha cha. So baby, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, cha cha cha. Hey, so baby, push on, cha cha cha. If I put my body on you, would you rock my body? Will you? Too much of me can be bad or good. You ready for that, my boo? I can intoxicate you. I'm addictive, so are you really ready? Don't never lay, yeah. I go get you, take, yeah. Baby, any day, yeah. Baby, anywhere. Boy, you know that I'm never late. I go give you, take, baby, any day or anywhere. Baby, give it to me. Ja, ja, ja. Baby, come on, give me, slowly, cha, cha, cha. So baby, give it to me, cha, cha, cha. Hey. So baby, push on me, cha, cha, cha. So baby, give it to me, cha, cha, cha. So baby, come on, give me, slowly, cha, cha, cha. So baby, give it to me, cha, cha, cha. So baby, push on me, cha, Ain't nobody do it like you. Push on. There is nothing greater than the relationship I have with you. And through my situations, you've always been there for me to carry me through. The love you've given me is what opened up my eyes when I was blind. Now here I stand with a testimony, no doubt about it. You are the best thing that's ever happened to me. Thank you. Ooh, thank you. Lord, we wanna say thank you. For the marvelous things, for the marvelous things you've done for me. There were many. I laid awake at night, wondering why things in my life just wasn't going right. I had to face the truth. I cannot do nothing without you. He's always there. He loves and cares. I know he's always there. His love so real, oh taste and see. His love is always real. Thank you. Every day I will want to say thank you. For waking us up this morning and we say thank you. For the marvelous things, for the marvelous things you've done for me. Hold on to God's unchanging hand. You gotta hold on, don't let it go. No. You will never be again. He will take care of you. He will take care of you. Thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Lord, we want to say thank you.
Hey, it's Larry Britt, here to tell you about my friend Don Bacon. I was born and raised in North Omaha, 26 and Patrick Avenue. I went to Tech High School. I've lived in Omaha all my life. Over the last 8 years, I've seen firsthand the improvement Don has delivered for North Omaha. Don has secured over $11 million to restore North 24th Street and brought home a $5 million grant to renovate 30th Street. This money is building affordable housing, bringing in businesses, and making our streets safer and cleaner right here in North Omaha. Take a look around. I know you see it too. Don Bacon is bringing home the bacon. So please join me. Vote for a good man who keeps his word and delivers for North Omaha. Vote Don Bacon.
I'm Don Bacon. I approve this message. Paid for by Don Bacon for Congress.
Because of historic emissions from lead smelting operations, Eastern Omaha has been designated as a Superfund site. The City of Omaha samples and tests residential properties located within the Omaha lead site boundaries and remediates contaminated yards. For homes in this area, sampling, testing, and remediation are provided for free. To find out if your property has been sampled and tested, or to schedule sampling or remediation, go to omahaled.org or call 402-731-3045.
Omaha Lead is a proud supporter of KOWN 95.7, The Boss.
Looking for a new and exciting way to grow your career? North End Teleservices is hiring for full-time roles in customer service, administration, and leadership. Positions include competitive pay, benefits, paid time off, and tuition assistance. At North End Teleservices, our mission is to create jobs and change lives. We invest in our employees and are dedicated to helping them reach their personal and professional goals. Your success is our success. Embark on a new career today by joining our diverse team. Apply at northendteleservices.com. North End Teleservices is a proud supporter of KOWN 95.7, The Boss.
Playing only the best music in the world. This is your number one radio station. Hey, it's Larry Britt, here to tell you about our friend Don Bacon. I was born and raised in North Omaha, 26 and Patrick Avenue. I went to Tech High School. I've lived in Omaha all my life. Over the last 8 years, I've seen firsthand the improvement Don has delivered for North Omaha. Don has secured over $11 million to restore North 24th Street and brought home a $25 million grant to renovate 30th Street. This money is building affordable housing, bringing in businesses, and making our streets safer and cleaner right here in North Omaha. Take a look around. I know you see it too. Don Bacon is bringing home the bacon. So please join me and vote for a good man who keeps his word and delivers for North Omaha. Vote Don Bacon.
I'm Don Bacon. I approve this message. Paid for by Don Bacon for Congress.
She touch her toes like what? Like, shit, it's summertime, you tryna have some fun. If you a freak, do your thing. Don't run, don't do no running. It's summertime, yeah, we ain't cuffing. Gonna take this little chick, yeah, man, ain't on nothing. But get pound town, tryna go to Soul City. Yo, chick turned up, she said, can you come and get me? Like what? Okay, let's get it. I just messed up the whole program. I beat her off the wall, knocked her down, get nasty on cam. She know I love her right all night, alright. Turn off the lights, I'm beating like a mic. Tell her don't run from this pipe. Let me see you run it up. Go ahead, shake some. Your chick going down, she just put my chains on. Got her going crazy, legs shaking, watch her move. Or you gotta run it up, not the one who make the rules. Left, right, let me see you do it. Left, do it, right, do it. Left, do it, right, do it. Left, do it, right, do it. Left, run it up, go stupid, run it up. Left, run it up, run it up, run it up. Go ahead, run it up. Right. Left, right, left, right, left, right.
Blue face, let's go.
Blue face, baby. 2, 1 me, but it's enough. Bought a butt for my butt. Having a left, right. Good. I put more hot dog in the buns than a hot dog ever been in a bun. Let me see you do the woody woo. I'm in the club with this ice. Booty hole, blue face, schoolyard crib. Who is you? You and you. Follow me, you gon' make it to the dressing room. Take that. Oh, baby, do what you do. Do it. I'm a crip, she blew it. Everything on me brand new, you knew it. I put more nuts in dust than up in the gut. If I put it down on her, she giving it up.
Freak, she touch her toes like what? She said it's summertime, she tryna have fun. If you a freak, do your thing, don't run, don't do no running.
Hurricane is soaking. Get up like an ocean. Shorty cut that in the water and the